I'm going to spend the next hour, mostly it's going to be talking about putting matches together, and a little bit of the when and why to do things. But the first thing I will tell you is, it is very important. I feel like the only way that you as a professional wrestler will get good is if you work as many different people as you can, for as many different promoters as you can, for in as many different places as you can. Because the only way you become a commodity is if you get so comfortable with yourself as a professional that you can walk into a locker room, sight unseen, wrestler unseen, and have a good match with that person. Whether he is a high flyer, or a brawler, or a tall guy, short guy, whatever. You need to be able to, if you limit yourself with what you do, you limit yourself to where you will be booked. Conversely, if you are unlimited in the style of things you can do, the odds are good that you will be booked more often. And I feel like one of the things that I personally bring to the table is I try to adapt what I do to the person I'm going to work that night. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why I've been fortunate enough to travel around and wrestle and be brought in and wrestle the hometown hero or the top guy or the champ of that night, because the promoter's impression of my work is that I will mesh well with that person, give a good match, and in the end, having been on television or where I've been or whatnot, whatever reputation I have, having a good match with me translates to that wrestler that I'm in the ring with that night, having his reputation then grows a bit, hopefully. And if I don't do that, then I'm really not doing my job, and it's not worth the money it was to bring me in. Like if I come in here and I shit the bed tonight, perfect, I'll remember, unless this is vodka, in which case I won't remember. Yeah, if I come in tonight and I shit the bed, there's probably no reason for him to bring me back, you know what I mean? Especially since this is the first time I'm here. Anyway, work as much as you can and hone yourself, get comfortable with yourself. And the more comfortable you are with yourself, the easier it's going to be for you to sell your product, which is you. Okay? Okay, transition. I was trained in Windy City, and in Windy City, well, the way that a match can pretty much be explained as simple as this. Babyface shine, heel heat, come back, finish. The way I was trained in Windy City is a little more complicated, and I'll explain it to you because I think there are little tweaks because it was a little more complicated or a little bit more in-depth. Those things have helped me in my career in terms of putting matches together and the mindset and the idea of building. So I'll tell you how I was trained. Instead of those 4 things, which was shine, heat, comeback, finish, I was trained that there are 7 parts of a match. All right, let me make sure I remember this. Okay, so it's... Yes, okay, I'm right. Well, at least I remember. I don't know if I'm right or not. Okay, the very first part of the match is called the introduction. And the mentality of this is you have to assume that there is at least one person in this crowd tonight that will never have seen you wrestle and will never have seen the person you're wrestling wrestle. And so there has to be a moment, there has to be something where, hi, my name is Aaron, and I'm going to be your babyface tonight. That type of thing. There has to be something in your match that establishes, I am the babyface, I am the heel. You should cheer me, you should boo me. Okay? Introduction. Second part after that, babyface shine. The whole idea is the babyface is the better wrestler. This is the opportunity to show the world what he can do. Okay. Third part is the heat. The heel at some point gets frustrated, cuts off the babyface, and now goes to town. makes him pay for embarrassing him. Okay? The next part is the hook spot. I was always trained that this was a separate part of the match. This was the heel getting too cocky and the babyface doing something, or the babyface fighting back, whatever it is. But the hook spot was a separate segment of the match that I was taught. Hook spot 4. Part 5, real heat. And I don't mean that the first heat was fake, but the idea is in the heat, hook spot's in the middle. The difference between the first part and the second part is there's a level change. It's time to turn it up a notch as a heel. Okay? So, one thing I like to say is there's the idea of real heat is the guy turns it up a notch. The guy changes levels. The guy increases. All right? There's a little bit more intensity in that second part of the heat than there is in the first. And then the 6th part is the comeback. Comeback and the finish, 6 and 7. Those are the most important parts of the match. And you cannot be lax, you cannot be blown up, you cannot be screwed up. Those are the most important parts of the match. Everything can go perfectly fine in the first 5 parts of that match, and if you fuck up the comeback or you fuck up the finish, that is what people will remember. Conversely, if everything in the first 5 parts of the match are the shits, and all of a sudden the comeback gets them back into it and the finish is good, that will be what they remember. Do not try and improve that by fucking everything up the first 80% of your match and then trying to save it with a good finish. But just remember that the last thing people will remember from your match will be the finish, and so that has to be correct. It has to be spot on. Okay. And now sort of to in-depth all of those parts. I will tell you, when I go places for the first time and I talk to whoever I'm going to wrestle, most of the time I will say, okay, we're going to do Chris Daniels 101. As a beginner, literally my basic format was this. This to me was Wrestling 101. Absolutely. First match, opening spot, all the time for me before I got more comfortable. I literally had a formula of heel does 1 thing, heel does 2 things, babyface does 3 things. Okay? Good stories are told in 3s. There's a setup, there's a repeat, and then there's the punchline, basically. For example, if Aaron and I were going to wrestle and I was going to be the heel tonight, I might lock up with him and arm drag. Woo! Look at me, everybody, I'm great. And Aaron, as a babyface, would be like, got me. All right, cool. Because he's cool, he's calm and under pressure, calm under pressure. Second time, lock up, hip toss. Boom, God, look how good I am. Woo! And hopefully that's going to get from everybody here, because if he's the babyface, they want to see him beat me up. Third lockup. Lock up. Maybe I take Aaron in a headlock, tackle him, hit the ropes, he would drop down, he arm drags me, he hip tosses me, he body slams me. So now he has basically gotten me back +1. Whoa. How'd I go? Introduction. I try stuff, the babyface out wrestles me, and that is the stage we have set. Okay? From that point on, I would go into the shine for him. At some point, I would come back in and let him do what he wants to me. Bump me about. And remember this too, as a worker, in the same way that a match starts here, should start here, and build to here, also the pieces of the match also build from the bottom to the top. So, if I'm going to let Aaron shine me, the first thing he's going to do to me will not be a superplex. Okay? We will build. You don't follow a power slam with a wrist lock. Okay? Build. Little bit, and culminate. And a lot of times when I call matches, I'm very comfortable calling stuff in the ring, but if I don't know a guy, I will at least make sure that he understands the transitions. So I will say, as I'm talking to you tonight, when we put our stuff together, I will probably say, we'll do some stuff, we'll do some stuff. The last thing I'll do is blank. And then from there, we will transition into the next segment of the match, okay? So for example, if Chris has some nice little medium, middle of the match spot that everybody knows is his shit, a perfect example. How many times have you guys watched AJ Styles wrestle? Raise your hand if you've seen AJ Styles wrestle. How many matches have you seen a guy hit the ropes, he leapfrogs, he gets the ropes, drop down, hits the ropes, drop kick, that? How many times?
Every match.
Okay. Ding, ding, ding. That's become part of his shtick. And as a ticket-paying customer, it is my job to give you what you are expecting to see when you pay a ticket. So if I'm AJ Styles, I'm gonna make sure I get leapfrog, drop down, drop kick in the fucking match because you paid to see it. And you expect it. If you watch an AJ match and it didn't happen, would you go, what the fuck happened? Wouldn't you? So if you have a spot, and my point to that, let me get back to the shine part of it and building, that might be the last thing I do in the shine. That might be the last thing I let you do in the shine. If you had a spot like that, that every time you hit it, they're like, that's his spot, woo, babyface. That might be the time to stop the fucking momentum and transition into heat. Does that make sense? Okay, so build, 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 whatever, time to stop. Okay, the mentality of the heel is he initiates the action. He tries to out-wrestle. He tries to show the world that he is better than the babyface, but it's not true. The babyface is better than the heel. So he's getting out-wrestled, he's getting out-wrestled, he's getting out-wrestled. Fuck this, stop him somehow. Do we out-wrestle him? No. And there's, this is something that I've dealt with as a, personally in my career, this is something that I've dealt with. I've been told that it's very hard for me to be a heel because a lot of the stuff I do looks so nice. AJ has the same problem. He's a little bit better at it now just because he's done it for so long. But when you do a lot of crisp, good-looking shit, as a heel, when you do it, you get cheered. Sometimes, not all the time, but many times. So the mentality, the trick that you have to do is there has to be a swagger about it, a cockiness about it, so that it's almost like braggadocious, like you're doing it so well in your face.
Just to rub it in the crowd.
Yeah. So, but I've dealt with that a lot where I've gone to places where I've tried to be a heel, and the state of the business today, where the curtain has been peeled back and everybody sort of knows what the fuck's up. You people are pieces of shit. Yay, Chris Daniels, yay, you are right, we're shit. You know, remember that shit. And it's tough. And I think that's one of the problems with the business is that everybody now knows the secret. You know, the curtain's been pulled back and it's hard now to get people to actually dislike you. Because if you've worked your ass off and you've worked hard, people respect that. And they're like, well, fuck. How can I boo a guy that's been working this long and doing this stuff and I've seen him on television, blah, 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 whatever. So, back to the heel. The heel has to, the mentality is the babyface is giving them what they want at this point. The babyface is rocking and rolling and he's showing his best stuff. The heel takes it away, has to do something to take it away. And that, hopefully that gets the people upset. You know what, if I was working with Aaron and he was rolling on me, I might tell him to go to the top rope and he's starting to climb to the top rope, maybe something big's gonna happen. If I shove him off and he takes a shitty bump and bang, I don't mean shitty like bad, I mean like, oh my God, that looked like crap, my God, that looked like it hurt. Bang, I've taken something away. Oh, and I might have hurt the babyface. I might have hurt the hero to these people. And hopefully there's drama there. And then from there, it's on. And that's when this comes into play for the heel, okay? If I do it tonight, I will probably play the frustrated babyface tonight, just because that usually works best when you do face-face and you're the guy coming in and you're working the hometown guy is, okay kid, let's see what you got. Whoa, you got some stuff. Whoa, you got some stuff. Whoa, you got some stuff. Stop that shit. Damn you, now I'll show you. You know what I mean? And then from here, if I was a real heel, it would be like, you know, that nasty, you know, bunkhouse butt look. You know. So okay, so from there you heel. At this point, you have to fucking kick a hole in them. And this is where I was telling you about contradictory messages. There's a point at the beginning of that heat where I would probably, if I was a heel, where I would probably stomp a hole in him for a little bit. Bang, 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 bang. Mentality being, I've been getting my ass out wrestled for this long. I'm frustrated. It's time to fucking show you who's in charge. Bang, 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 bang. And then you take a moment and let that settle. And hopefully the people are going to be like, holy fucking shit, he just stomped a hole in that guy. Ah. You know? Bang, 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 bang. And you show it to them. Show them how frustrated you are. Now I'm going to get back in control, and now I'll do my stuff. Now I'll work my stuff. Okay? Build, build, build. At some point, the Chris Daniels 101 of this, at some point I would get cocky and very methodical in that part of the match. It's a little bit of showmanship, a little bit of not slow like boring slow, but slow like methodical slow. You know what I mean? I might bump the guy, show off a little bit, work whatever, if I'm working his ribs, if I'm working his knee, if I'm working his neck, whatever it is, I'm on it, letting that breathe, letting people get the idea, back to it. Somewhere out of there, I'll let the baby face come out of it. Either I'll let him fight back, or I'll let him catch me with something. And a good way to do that is to do something once and hit it, do it again, and the baby face gets out of it. It's called funding. You know what I mean? If I tell you something and we go back to it and use it later, I've funded it for you earlier. That's a theater thing. You know what I mean? That's just something, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not important. The idea is, if I tell you ahead of time, oh, he tried it again, reverse, something, okay? And then, so the hope spot, and the mentality of the hope spot is the babyface never dies. Babyface never dies. If I'm putting it on Aaron and Aaron just flops down dead, why would the people get behind him if he looks like he's unconscious right there? There has to be that mentality or that visual of, you know, bang. Always fighting to get up. Always trying to get back to your feet. Bang, get down, get back down, get back down. You know what I mean? Babyface never says die. Babyface fire. There has to be that fire burning in. If you're just down there and I put the boots to you and you're just, you know what I mean? If you're just a dead fish, don't be a dead fish. As a babyface, always selling up, never die out. And a good rule of thumb is never let the heel do 3 things in a row to you without some sort of fighting back. And I, as a heel, I have no problem with if I'm putting something on you and you fight back and I didn't tell you to fight back, I'm not mad. I will cut you off if I don't think it's the right time. I won't let you start rattling it up. If I think it's not the right time for a fight back, I'll stop you right away. If it's the right time, I'll probably say, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. You know what I mean? Because the minute, if it's the right time, the first shot you throw at a heel, hopefully the people are like, yeah, okay, let's get back in this, babyface. Let's do this, babyface. Fight back, if it's right. And there's a time for it. Like I wrestled, there's a kid in North Carolina I wrestled a couple weeks ago. And I just took it over on him. He, babyface shine, babyface shine, babyface shine. I stopped him, I hit him with something, boom, and I let him sell it for a second so the people understood. oh shit, now he's in trouble. And as soon as I walked over to him, he hit me. I went, not now, boom. Not now, transition, you know what I mean? If I hit him with something sizable, he shouldn't fight back right away, let him sell that. And he basically took my thing and made it mean less, because it was like, well, fuck. Chris Daniels did this thing, but couldn't have been that bad, brother, fought right back. You know what I mean? Not now. So yeah, the fight back, the hope spot, it doesn't always have to be fight back, but I mean that mentality of stay alive, babyface, give these people something to hope for. Don't let them think, well, fuck, this babyface is done now, I might as well go. You know what I mean? It's not like a blowout. We're telling the story. So there's never a blowout in pro wrestling. Well, not never, but in a match. Squash matches, fuck it. That's something different. In a match, we're always keeping the fans' hope alive that the babyface is gonna come back. So, usually those hope spots will be some sort of roll up, some sort of a fight back or a roll up. I have on occasion drawn out hope spots so that it's a bump, something where the guy looks like he's about to start a comeback, and then it's a matter of taking it away again. The babyface is giving the people what he wants, what they want. They want to see the babyface fight back. Come on, babyface, you can do it. Stop him. That close, guys. God, he's that close. Stop. Hopefully we're taking him on that ride. The babyface fights back. The babyface does it again, and it's coming up. Stop that shit. Back down. And the mentality at that point, after the hope spot, the mentality of the heel should be this. You piece of shit. How dare you? I will show you. And now it's on. Now I've changed levels. Now I've increased. My stuff at the beginning might just have been showing off. Now at this point, I'm trying to end it. It's time to end this shit. So now I might give him one big bump and let him kick out. Another big bump, boom, kicks out. What do I gotta do to beat this kid? What do I gotta do? Okay? So that second part of the heat, that real heat that I tell you about, there has to be that intensity. There has to be that mentality of, how dare you fight back? Who do you think you are? And it's all in the face too, just shock and, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Bam, 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 put it back down on him, put it back down on him. Okay? The comeback. The comeback, like I said, the comeback and the finish are the most important parts of the match. And physically speaking, you cannot be blown up for this. You can't be a wet noodle for this, especially the heels. It is your job to feed the babyface and get your ass kicked for however long it takes. The babyface has basically let you beat the shit out of him for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long your deal is, however long that heat is, the babyface has given himself to you and has been basically your plaything. Bam, 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 doing what you want to do. And it's time to give it back. So the comeback, and usually for me, a good rule of thumb is some sort of double down. It's not set in stone. I have done different ones, but usually it's a good thing where the babyface catches you, you both go down, and you're both sell. So there's that moment of, is this it? Is this the moment where the babyface is going to come back to life? Is this where he starts to come back? And that's when you start telling that exact story. Something that I try to keep in mind for that is that when that double down happens, despite the fact that he hit me, I still have taken less, as a heel, I've taken less of the damage, so I'll get up first, but I will start bumping and feeding for the babyface. Wrestling 101, for me, a comeback is bump, 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 yay babyface, big bump, cover. That's to start out, okay? Once you get comfortable with that format, then you add to it. The idea is you kick kick the heel's ass for a while. Bang, 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 bang. But the minute you cover the heel, your comeback is over. So make sure you bump the fuck out of that heel and you get the people riled up. At this point, the people should be behind you as a babyface, kicking the shit out of the heel. Bang, 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 bam, bam. Yeah. And if you go to them, usually they'll give it back to you. Okay? And the minute you cover them, the comeback is over. Because now they're thinking 1, 2, whatever. 1, 2, 3, this might be it, whatever. Okay, now the finish. The finish isn't just the finish. I mean, it is and it's not. But like after the comeback is over, now you get into that period where everybody's doing false finishes. Let me give you a good rule of thumb when it comes to the term false finishes. It's only a false finish if it conceivably could be the finish. If it's not, then it's just a bump. You know what I mean? If there's no way in hell that you would finish that guy with that move, and in that, when I say that, if the crowd thinks there's no way in hell that guy would beat him with that crap, then it's not a false finish, it's a bump. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like if I as the heel, if I was getting my ass kicked, and I raked your eyes and hip tossed you and covered you, that's not a false finish. There's no way in hell that's the end of the match. No way. Okay? And one thing that's important about this part of the match, come back through the false finishes, through the finish, is that there has to be a sense of urgency at this point. On both sides, there has to be a sense of urgency. And I'll explain both sides. The mentality of the heel is, holy shit, I had this in my hand and I'm watching this slip away from me. I had him beat and somehow he's kicking my ass right now. I gotta do something now. Babyface. I've been getting my ass kicked for a blank amount of minutes. I got him rolling right now. I gotta end this now because if I don't, I might not have the energy to finish this later. If I give it back to him, I might not have enough to get it done. I gotta get this done now. And so that says there's a level of, you have to debate case by case what you're doing, what moves you're using, how you cover, like the mentality of how quickly you go for the pin. Okay? One thing that drives me fucking nuts in matches where guys are working and they're near that segment of the match is somebody will hit a move and they'll double sell. And they'll do that dead crawl like, maybe I can cover him. The minute you hit something really sizable, if you don't go for the cover, you start slow. It's very rare, I think maybe 99 times out of 100. If I hit you with something, double down, and slowly crawl, dead man's crawl over to you, the odds are good that you're kicking out. And people have seen it enough where they know that. So I mean, if you want a true false finish where people think this could be the finish, and you hit something devastating, scramble for that fucking cover, and cover like you mean it. And then when you kick out, then, whoa, then hopefully you're gonna get that reaction like, fuck, that wasn't it. Rats, we thought we had him. I thought we had him. You know what I mean? False finish. And like I said, there's case-by-case basis. Like, depending on the story I'm trying to tell, like I might hit something and turn it into some sort of double down. But I mean, you have to understand what you're going for at that point. If you do a double down at that point of the thing, it's almost like you're resetting the stage. Like if both of you are back down selling, you both pull yourself up. You guys are pulling yourself up. Now it's sort of like you're back even and you're not sure what's happening. And I mean, you can do that. That's an option that you can go when you're putting your matches together. But understand what that does. You know what I mean? Like if you do that double down, you can't go and cover the guy. It has to be double down. You both fight your way up, and then it's, you know, whatever you're gonna do. Trade punches, fish out of water spot. Does everybody know what a fish out of water spot is? Fish out of water spot. It's the name of the spot where you sunset flip the guy, and the guy sunset flips, and instead of going to his back, he drops to his knees. 1, 2. Then you sunset flip him. 1, 2. Then he rolls through. 1, 2. It's that 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 that was called a fish out of water because you're flip flop, flip flop. That's the idea. So I mean, hopefully that was worth the money you paid, is to learn how to fish out of water. Actually, I'll tell you a Lance Storm story after this. Please don't let me forget because it's ridiculous. Okay, so you just understand, like, if you decide, okay, we're going to do a double down at this point, or we're going to do that reset, you know, that's an avenue you have to take. I mean, but when I say it's an avenue you can take, but you have to, like, commit to it. You know what I mean? You can't go, bam, there's a double down, and then, well, fuck, I'm going to do the cover. You've told two different things, and you're going to fuck it up. It sort of fucks up the flow. So false finish, and then, like I said, the most important part of the match is the finish. So you can't flub that move. Referee has to know that's the deal. If you're the guy doing the job, don't kick out at 3.5. You know, those things annoy me to no end. 1, 2, 3. Really? You couldn't stay down another 2 minutes? Another 2 seconds? Just stay down. You know, I think those kind of things sort of take away, you know, when guys are like, oh, I want to look strong. Why? You just ruined that match. Or not ruined it, but I mean, you certainly have taken away from it where you're kicking out at 3.5. That, to me, that's selfish. It's selfish. And I cannot think of a promoter that would ever say to me as the guy doing the job, all right, I want you to kick out at 3.5. If he wants me to do the job, the odds are good that he wants that guy over for a reason. And if I undermine him by kicking out at 3.5, like, well, then what have I done? I've gone into business for myself. I've undermined that. Where'd he go? Where'd they go? There. I've undermined him, you know, and that goes back to the idea of his decisions are what sort of determine the flow of his business. If he decides that Kellen is the guy that we're going to put the strap on and we're going to put the rocket on his ass and make sure that he's the star of the show, Kellen hits me with his finish and I kick out at 3.5, what have I done? I just told these people this finish isn't that strong. Undermine. So, trying to make sure if I said everything I wanted to say for that. How about any questions? Let me go with that, and then I will, if I think of what I wanted to say, I'll say it again.
Can you talk a little bit about why certain moves are done at the different times of the match?
For example.
Just,
for example.
Like, are there certain moves that shouldn't be done during, I don't know,
like, should I not pile drive you in the first minute? Is that what you mean? Like that?
Not quite that. You know, I don't know. I guess I just want to understand why and when certain moves are to be done. Tell the right story, you know?
Okay, well, then my answer to that would be this. In a real boxing match, knockout can come anywhere, correct? Real MMA fight, knockout can come anywhere. The negative to that is, if you, as the ticket buying customer, came to see Mirko Cro Cop and Frank Mir fight, and 30 seconds in, Frank Mir knocks the shit out of Mirko, fuck, you just paid $45 for 30 seconds. God damn. To your point, I don't tell a very good story if I'm doing the climax of the story in the first part of the match. And so, I would not call tackle, drop down, pile driver off the lockup. I start here, and I build to this. And mentally speaking, you have to look at every move that you know and every move that you want to put in your repertoire, and you don't have to put a shitload in your repertoire. There are many wrestlers that don't have shit in their repertoire, and I'm not going to name names because it doesn't matter. But you know there are guys that can do anything in the ring, and there are guys that are very limited in what they do, and it doesn't fucking matter. Because in the end, if you get the people believing in certain moves, that's all you need. That's all you need. Okay? So as you go through your career and you decide, I'd like to do a suplex. Well, you have to know when the right time to do that suplex is. And so think in your mind, well, if I give the guy a suplex, have I broken his back? No. Have I knocked him out? Probably not. And so that's probably not going to be a move you do at the end of a match to try and finish him. But it will be a move you do in the beginning to try and work to wear him down, and you'll still cover him on it because you don't know, maybe you did knock him out in your mind as the character. Maybe I did knock him out with a suplex. I'm going to try and cover him. And what's the point of the matches, guys? What's the point of the rest of the match? To win and not to lose. No, I mean, I don't mean us as workers. I mean us as wrestlers. The point of the match is we are trying to win. We are trying not to lose. And so if you're on your back, I'm going to cover you. Okay? If I take a bump and I don't want to be covered, I roll to my stomach. First thing they tell an amateur wrestler, never go to your back. Always get off your shoulders. Right? Any of you guys do amateur? Yes? Okay. That's pretty much the deal, right? The first thing they tell you, don't go to your back, right? Get off your... Every time it's always roll your stomach or something. Some sort of get the fuck off your shoulders thing, right? So, there. I mean, that's the idea. You're trying to win the match, and you are building your story so that A, you are telling the best story you can. You're starting small and building, and B, you're taking these tools, these moves that we use to tell the story, and you put them together in a sequence where it makes fucking sense. So that you try and get the most out of the least you do. And that's not being lazy. When I say get the most out of the least, it's not because I don't want to give you anything. It's because I want to do this until I'm 105. And so there's something to be said about conservation. If I take 20 bumps in a match and I could have done the same match and gotten the same reaction and gotten these people on their feet in 5, I've wasted 15 bumps. And what did I tell you earlier about the number of bumps you have? It is finite. There is a number. There is a bump you will take. That will be your last. And that's not, I'm not trying to make you sad, but it's true. There is one point where you will take the last bump of your life. Do you want to do it 3 years in? Nope. I've been very fortunate. I've been doing this 17 years. I feel like I'm in really good shape. And it's very rare that I take a bump that I don't think I can get up from and walk off in the locker room. You know what I mean? I'm the product, and I don't want to waste it. I don't want to waste it. I'm a resource, and if you give it up, I think I got off the point of yours, but I sort of did, and I sort of didn't. I apologize, but
I guess just for me, it's like understanding how to build the match and make it make sense.
Well, just understand then, in the same way that, in the way that 5 is more than 1 and 10 is more than 5, you know, a body slam is more than an arm drag, but it's less than a power slam, and it's less than a superplex. And so you're gonna up. Okay? And you know, when you watch a movie, is everything explosion, 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 explosion? No. There's something, and it starts here, and there's a conflict, and then we go to move to resolve the conflict, and then there's a climax. Build to that climax. And then that's it. So, I mean, if you're unsure, talk to who you're working. I mean, this should always be a give and take. My job as the wrestler is not to get me over, it's to get you over. Your job as the wrestler is to get me over. And I don't mean get me over like make me the winner. I mean get me over like if I have to lose, you still make me look good, and so that if you beat me, you've beaten somebody. If I came here tonight and I said, this guy's a piece of shit and I'm gonna beat him in 2 minutes. If I beat him, what have I done? Nothing. If he beats me, what have I done? I lost to a bum. So in that way, I have damaged both of us. If I come in here and I say, hey man, I respect the hell out of you, but I'm not gonna let you make a name for yourself at my expense. And he says, Christopher Daniels, this is my shot. You're a great wrestler. I look up to you, whatever, but this is my house, and I'm not gonna embarrass my family. I'm not gonna embarrass my fans by losing in my hometown. Now, no matter what happens, we both look like fucking, hopefully we both look like something. We look like we've made something happen. And no matter what the finish is tonight, hopefully we both come out of it looking like, that was close. Man, Chris Daniels is good. If he had just done this one move, he might have won that match. Or, oh man, he was so close to beating Christopher Daniels. Man, that could have gone either way. What a good wrestler he is. So, there was something in the middle of that I wanted to tell you, and now I can't remember what it is. So I'm going to ask for more questions, and hopefully it'll come back to me. You've had your hand up for a while.
All right, say you're going from like a 10-minute match to like a 20-minute match.
Okay.
Where would you add, you know, the more stuff to fill in the time? I mean, in the heat, or just throughout the whole match?
Anywhere. It depends. I mean, you have to understand that if you have a 20-minute match, you don't want to do an 18-minute segment of heat. Mm-hmm. I would try and add equally to each part.
Okay.
Just because anytime you get lopsided, I mean, if I as the heel am shining you, at some point they're gonna get tired of watching me get bumped around by the babyface. At some point, there's enough. There's a point where you're like, all right,
Yeah,
I've had my ass kicked enough.
Like,
Let's
you know,
go.
once I get past like, 12 minutes in, it starts to become your turn, my turn, bullshit. I'm just like, where's the formula of the match? It tends to get lost. In my experience.
Okay. Well, when you say my turn, your turn, is it just a matter of I give you a bump and you sell, and when I pick you up, you take it back?
Essentially.
Okay, well, don't do that. Don't do that.
Good answer.
We'll try. Well, here's the thing. Like, I have maybe 2 or 3 set formulas when I put false finishes together in terms of a flow that I like to do. And the best improv in the world is a guy. You guys know what improv means? Improvisation. Okay. As a theater, I came from theater, and improv is a tool that theater people use, to sort of learn to think on their feet. But I've learned that the best improvisation is someone who goes in with a plan and is prepared to adapt when things don't go the way he wants. I am usually a guy that will talk a little bit in the locker room. I don't need to. If I have to go out there, like if I go up to a guy and I go, hey man, what do you want to do tonight? And he goes, see you out there. I'll be like, all right. If that's what you want. That was Puerto Rico. I went, the first place I ever went to, other than where I was trained, I went down to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico at that time, this was 1995, they had separate locker rooms. Separate locker rooms. You never saw your opponent. The referees would go back and forth, and they would tell you what the finish was. They would say, okay, you're going to do this, this happens, and then there's the finish. And the rest you call in the ring. I can do that if I have to. But I will, for people that I don't know very well, people that don't know me very well, I will at least go to them and say, I do this, I do this, I do this. I might call this out there. Let's start with this. I'll let you shine. Do this, and when you do this, I'll take over right after that. I'll do a little something, something. I'll call something in the ring for you to fight back. I'll stop you. And here's our go-home. When this happens, and then from there, I'll set it and figure it out. And I will have a segment where I'll be like, okay, well, here's your comeback, 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 yay, baby face. Maybe you cover me once, maybe you cover me twice, and I'll take it back. I'll switch the momentum back, and I'll figure those things out. And when I will take that formula, and if I think, well, that's not going to be enough for this match. You cover me, I cover you, finish, we need more. Okay, so cover me twice. Cover me, I'll kick, cover me again, I'll kick. I remembered what I wanted to say. Remind me if I get off the subject. Babyface kicking out of a heel and heel kicking out of a babyface. Remember that? Okay. So yeah, if I think it's not enough, I will say, well, you need more here. I've been kicking your ass for this long. I can't just let you cover me once and take it back. You need more. Or, that's too much. You know? I have a friend who I wrestle with off and on, and his tendency is to do 3 things where one would be enough. And I find myself, like, he'll say, all right, how about if I'll give you the high kick, and then I'll give you the German, and then I'll give you the spear. And I'll be like, wait, why don't we just do the spear? If the end result is the spear, let's go there. You know what I mean? And that's just getting the most out of the least. You know, and there's something to be said for that. I mean, in some instances, the high kick and the German and the spear works. But you have to pick your spot. You have to think, well, you know, if I was in Japan and this was a big match, maybe those 3 things in a row would work because they expect it. You know, if this was a pay-per-view, they might expect it. If this is a smaller house show and they would be happy with just the spear is enough. But that's something that you have to judge each and every time you go out there. You don't know if a crowd is going to get with tackle, take it again. I could come out here, tackle, take it again, tackle, drop down, take it again, tackle, drop down, hip toss, take it again. And halfway through, these people might be bored as shit. And I'll be like, well, fuck, we gotta, never mind. Let's move to the part where you beat me up. You know what I mean? Or they might be eating it up. They might eat it up. Every time I hit a tackle, they'd be like, woohoo! Wow, that looked great. Take it again, kid. Slow it down. That's all they want. They want to see a good tackle. I'll tackle a motherfucker until 10:30 p.m. If that's all it took, I would be stupid to go past that. I would be ridiculous. You know, and there's something to be said too about ego in your matches. It's a discipline. Like, the idea is, and this is something I had to learn, and I didn't learn it right away. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. Okay? I will not get every spot I have in every match I wrestle. It won't happen. There are 1 or 2 things that I will try to get in every time. And that's the mentality of, you paid a ticket, you need to see this. If you bought a ticket to see a Randy Orton match and you don't see an RKO, the odds are good that you will be disappointed. You know what I mean? Or like Rey Mysterio, if he doesn't do the 619, something's up. On a house show, if you paid a ticket and he doesn't do it, you'd be disappointed. You were cheated out of something that you paid to see. Okay? And I'm not talking television. Television's free. Television happens every week, and so there are many times where you'll have a 90-second match and it won't be anything but a tease of what you should pay to see at the pay-per-view or the house show. Okay? But when I'm talking house shows, everybody's got something that I paid to see. Whatever your move is, we'll do it tonight. Whatever these people paid to see you do all the time, the odds are good that you will do it. Okay? It's better off in the long run. You're easier to work with. You know? A lot of times I go to places where I do this for a living, and this isn't like I'm better or I'm worse, nothing. This is the reality of it. I do this for a living. And so a lot of times I go to matches where to me it's a match, but I've been to places where the place I'm going to, it's their WrestleMania. And so the guy that I'm wrestling has to get stuff in. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. And if they brought me in to be the guy to put their guy over, then my job is to make sure he gets his shit in for his WrestleMania. But if I don't get all my shit in for that, I'm fine with that. Because I will get my shit in somewhere. I have enough matches, hopefully, in the rest of my career that if I want to do one more best moonsault ever, I'll probably get it in somewhere. I will probably hit it again. And if I don't get it in, I can't have a boo-boo face. I cannot go, God damn it, I did not get my fucking leg layered in tonight. Crap. You have to be able to say, I don't need that tonight. That's fine. That's cool. And the easier you are to work in that respect, the easier that give and take goes. Man, it's so much nicer in a ring, in a locker room to just go, what do you want to do tonight? Okay, that's cool. Do you mind if I get this in? Okay, cool. Yeah, that fits. No, I don't think that fits. Is that okay? Yeah, man, no problem. I don't need it tonight. We'll get it another time. that's so nice, so nice. You know, you meet guys that are like, hey man, I gotta hit you with this and this and this and this. Okay. Okay, I don't think that's a good idea. I really want to get it in. Okay, whatever. Okay. Babyface kicking out for a heel kicking out for a babyface. This is something that was told to me not so long ago, and I think it's very, it was put to me in a way that I had never thought about before, but once I thought about it, it made perfect sense, and I want you to think about it as you go on. When I say this though, remember again, it's one of those things that not every time is the rule. But think of it like this. I was told that the more a babyface, every time a heel covers a babyface and the babyface kicks out, you are building the babyface. But every time a babyface covers a heel and the heel kicks out, you're not building the heel, you are undermining the babyface. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. If the babyface has to hit me with 5 different things to beat me, those 5 things aren't very strong. And this, again, like I said, this is not every time, you know, because depending on the length of match and the type of match, et cetera, et cetera. But the more you as a heel kick out from a babyface, you're making that babyface look weaker and weaker. You're not building yourself, because the job isn't really to build the heel. The promoter will build the heel by giving him lesser opponents to go through to get to the babyface. Okay? And so my job as the heel is to make the babyface look strong. So I'll let him kick out of my stuff, kick out of my stuff, kick out of my stuff, and then when he finally wins, he will have overcome adversity and had his hand raised. And that is what we want the babyfaces to do. That is what good should do over evil every time. Right? At some point it happens. At some point it will happen. Babyfaces don't win every match they have. But the moral of the story usually is babyface up. Babyface wins. Good triumphs over evil. Otherwise, we're telling some really sad stories. Right? I mean, and these stories that we tell, you know, this entertainment, it wouldn't be entertaining if it was, you know, we're trying to get the most people entertained as we can, and so we're trying to tell these stories that lift people up. We don't want wrestling to be depressing. Shit, this is supposed to be cathartic, and they're supposed to be, you know, they want to see babyfaces beat heels up, you know. I'm on a tangent, but that's the idea, you know. I mean, this is entertainment at the core, it's entertainment. I mean, it's an entertaining sport. That's a Jim Cornette quote. He says, this isn't sports entertainment. It's an entertaining sport. That's a quote he made about Ring of Honor. I think he says that to sort of delineate the difference between what happens in Ring of Honor and what happens in WWE and TNA. But in the end, it's entertainment for everybody, and we're trying to entertain, and we're telling these stories. And you just got to pick those tools, the moves that we do, and the things that we do, and the characters that we make. We just have to put them in the right mixture to tell a good story. And going back to the thing I said at the very beginning, the only thing that you can control is what you do in the ring. So you hone your character. You hone your moves. You try and make them mean something. If something means something to you, it will mean something to these people. Okay? Let's say you had the title tonight, and this was a heavyweight title match. If I come in here and I go, fuck, I don't care about your heavyweight title, this place is shit. What have I just done? I've buried your title. I buried it. Well, if I don't want it, why do these people care to come see it? It's not worth shit. You know what I mean? People walk by pennies all the time on the ground. If there was a $50 bill on the ground, do you think anybody's walking past it? Fuck no. That's worth 50 bucks. You know, paper clips ain't worth shit. I'll walk by a pile of paper clips. So, I mean, the stories we tell, the things that we want to be important, have to be important to us. And when they are, they're important to these people. And sometimes it's just as simple as respect, as reputation. You know, a lot of times when I go to places the idea is, at this point in my career, a lot of times the idea is, if you beat me, you have credibility. And I don't want that. And so a lot of times it's just a match, in sense of, I'm not wrestling for a title, I'm not wrestling to, you know, become a contender necessarily. It's a matter of, I'm here to show that I'm the best wrestler in the world. And you're trying to take me down and make a name for yourself at my expense. I'm not gonna let that happen, you know? It's just a matter of, make it mean something. If I lose the match tonight and I go, no big deal. Whatever, fuck it. If I don't care, why should they care? You know what I mean? If you win tonight and you go, it was easy. Nothing. Well, if you don't care, why should they care? Why should these people care? So think about that when you're doing your stuff too. I mean, the stories that you tell, the stories that they tell, and the props that they use to be important, the things we fight over, they should be important. And if they're not important to you, they're not going to be important here. Okay? That's one of the big criticisms about titles now in professional wrestling, is that they get switched so often, and there's no momentum. There's, you know, it's like, oh, it's always switching and blah blah blah, and you know, you never hear a guy go, I don't want the title. You know, you shouldn't anyway. When the title doesn't mean anything, why should people want to fight for it? That type of mentality. So everything you do, it should matter to you. All this stuff should matter to the character. You know what I mean? It matters. Winning, losing, as far as a worker goes, shouldn't matter. Having the best match, being the best wrestler you can be in this ring, and the best commodity you can be to him, that's what's important as a person. So have pride in your work, get in the gym, get good gear. You know, it's a cosmetic business, look the part. All those little things that, you know, this is a job, even though it's the most ridiculous job ever. It's a job. Treat it like a job. I treat this as my career, man. My job is to go to the gym every day, and yeah, if I'm not wrestling, the odds are good I'll go to the gym. You know, just, you know, to keep in shape, to do what I got to do to make my product last as long as it can. And if you're slacking on that, or if you're like, oh, I can just wear jeans in the ring, or street shoes, or, you know, the perception is reality, and if you look like a guy off the street, the odds are good that nobody's going to want to pay to see you. You're not special. So put effort into that stuff. And you know, the only guy I ever said, another tangent, this is a street clothes tangent. The only guy that can ever wear street clothes, in my opinion, is Ray. He was the one guy that, to me, started it. And now, everybody that does it after that is sort of like, oh, he's copying somebody. You know what I mean? It's very rare that you get a guy in street clothes that evokes an original look. Does that make sense? So, and not to say that it's impossible. Like everything else, there's always exceptions to the rule. But, you know, if you have good-looking gear and you are in good shape and you look like a star, people will treat you like a star. If you look like a guy off the street, people will treat you like a guy off the street. Guys off the street aren't special. Guys on the street aren't stars, and nobody's going to pay money to see a guy off the street. They can walk on the street and see that for free. You guys are stars. You guys are wrestlers. You will be stars. Whatever, you know what I mean? I don't mean like get a big fucking head, but I mean if you are important, you'll be important to them. God, now it's like I feel like I'm telling you all to have fucking egos now. Go out there and be smug. No. You know what I mean? This stuff is important. And if you treat it with a respect, if you treat this business with a respect, if this business is important to you, when you come and you work, it will be important to them. And that's what keeps people paying money. You know what I mean? Guys that just run shows, and the guys in the locker room like, you know, maybe we'll put a little effort into it. Man, we'll have fun, blah, blah, blah. This is a job. And I love my job, and I have fun doing my job, and when things are going great, it's awesome. And when things are going bad, it's still okay. I'm not digging a ditch, right? Yeah. You know, I mean, I get paid to do what I like to do, which is perform and have fun. You know, I've been lucky that I haven't had a junk load of injuries. and hopefully all of you can say the same. You know, so I mean, I'm very lucky, I'm very fortunate, and every once in a while I get to talk to a fine group of folks like you and have fun. So I think I've wrapped it up. If there's any other questions, I'd like to hear them, and we can continue to do this for as long as Mike and the boys don't mind. You've already had some questions. I'm gonna let him do it. You're next, though. Go ahead.
Promo packages.
Okay.
To send to like other promotions and stuff. I mean, obviously you haven't had that.
No, I've had it. I haven't had it in a while, but
Yeah.
the truth is this. It's hard to tell what everybody looks for. So the thing I always sent out was this. Like, some people, they want to see just high spots, and some people want to see matches. So I gave both, and this is what I said. I made it as easy as possible for whoever I was sending it to. I would put like a high spot reel or a highlight reel. I'd put a highlight reel together, and I would put a match at the end of it. And I would have the tape queued up to the match. And I would say, in my letter, I would say, "Dear Terry Taylor, my name is Christopher Daniels. I would love to come work for you at TNA, and this is my work. If you'd like to see a full match of me wrestling, press play. If you would like to see just highlights, rewind the tape." And I gave them both. And a lot of times, if you let them know that, you know, if you just put it on and they turn it on, they're looking for a match and you're already in just highlights, nah, this guy's a spot man. On the other hand, if you put on a match and it's a slow, methodical affair, and 30 seconds in, they're like, "I don't have time for this shit. Next." You don't know. You don't know at any given moment. You have no idea what someone's going to want to look at. Give them an opportunity to see as much, everything as you can give them, and go from there. And I wish I could tell you I knew what they wanted. I wish I did. I sometimes don't understand why they wanted me. It's honest. I'm just like, okay, I'm glad to be here, but man, sometimes I don't get it. I'm fine with that though. I'm still working, and I'm fucking thrilled. But it's weird, man. For example, AJ and I fought for years to get Samoa Joe into TNA. And we're like, man, this guy wrestles his ass off, blah, blah, blah. He can do this, he can wrestle for an hour, blah, blah, blah. And they would look at his picture and be like, he's out of shape. And I don't know what changed. I don't know what changed in the office where they said, you know what, we're bringing Samoa Joe in. And the minute he came in, and he proved them wrong and showed that what he could do, and now it's from there, boom, 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 Samoa Joe is where he's at. Okay? I wish I could tell you what it is. But I mean, that's another one of those, if you don't limit yourself, if you sort of can do anything, everything, and you show that to them, they have more to sort of work from. You know, if all you can do is punch and kick, well, fuck. I can find 1,000 guys that can punch and kick. What makes you special? But if you could do everything, okay, well maybe I've got a spot for it. Maybe. So, good luck with that. Who else have you got? No, all right, go ahead, Eric.
I had a question about what's your take on like wearing hoods, like pros?
Masks?
Yeah, like pros, cons. Do you have a preference?
No, I mean, I did it for a while. It's tough to, I've wrestled under a hood that was very, like the suicide mask was very covering, and I was a little nervous. But it has to be functional. You know what I mean? You can't have something that, because you got to breathe. You can't do something that's going to cover your eyes. You got to see. And function should outweigh appearance to me. I mean, that's a preference though, man. I mean, if you want to wrestle under a hood, that's up to you. I mean, just make sure that it's, you don't want to look, you want to bring something different to the table. There's Rey Mysterio. Do you want to look like Rey Mysterio? No. You have a different attitude. You have a different character. You have a different costume. Try not to evoke images of other wrestlers. And that's another thing too. Try not to do. I have guys that come up to me and go, "Hey, I like doing Angel's Wings. Do you mind if I do Angel's Wings?" Yeah, I'm fine with that, but do you know what people are thinking when you do Angel's Wings? Hey, that's Christopher Daniels' move. Do you want to do something that makes them think of another wrestler? Right, so think about that as well. Back to that, try and be as original and bring something different to the table. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question also. I
You mean regularly?
Yeah.
It really is pick an avenue and commit to it. I mean, every match you have is going to be different, and it should be different. So do different. If you pick today, you know what? Today I'm working your head. Tomorrow I'll work your arm. The next day I might work your leg. And I have moves that fall in that category.
I heard that you usually work different body parts and faces and stuff.
I don't think that's a set. That's not a rule. I mean, the Andersons worked the arm all the time. That was their shtick. But if they wanted to, they could certainly work your neck. And you should be able to do you should be able to, if you don't limit your work to one body part, it's better. Does that make sense? And as far as you have to remember too, let's say this too, if you wrestle here every month, and every month you work the arm, at some point, they're going to be like, fuck, you're wrestling the same match. You got anything else? If you tell the same story every time you wrestle your matches, at some point, everybody will have seen your story. And then they'll be like, I know what her matches are like. Does that make, I'm a big fan of variety. I try not to do the same shit in the same house twice in a row. I try to build off things I've done in the past. I try to switch it up. And me personally, I'll try every once in a while, I'll pick a move, I'll be like, you know what, I haven't done this in a while. Do you mind if I get this in tonight? Okay, cool. No, I'll do it next time. That type of thing, just to keep fresh. But that's a personal preference more than anything. So
if my finisher is on someone's head,
yes.
I should be working their head most of the match though, right? Is that
Not necessarily. I mean, Jake Roberts had a DDT and he didn't punch people in the head for hours. He did stuff. I mean, it depends. You can work a match where you work a guy's head and build to your finish. You can work a match where you work a guy's back to slow him down and make it impossible for him to fight back when you finally grab him and do your finish to his head. So, I mean, none of everything, all of this is case by case. You know what I mean? And if you can figure out a way to make it make sense, the odds are good that they will believe it when they see it. And if it doesn't make sense to you or the person you're talking to, it's probably not going to make sense to them. So, that's one of those things you'll decide in the back. Hey man, I'm gonna work your leg. I'm gonna do the figure four, all this stuff. When your comeback comes, I want you to do the moonsault. I want you to jump over the top rope. I want you to springboard. You know what I mean?
How you doing?
Makes some sense.
I like
Do
to
that.
work the whole
I'm not a big fan of working the leg, especially if I'm a heel and I'm working with a babyface. I don't like to limit what the babyface will do in his comeback. That's a personal preference. There are guys that work leg all the time and have no problem with it, and they've got a system where they know, okay, well, I've been working your leg, but when it's time for you to bump me around, do this, or you can do this move, blah, blah, blah. So, and that's a personal preference. Yes?
What do you say, do a babyface and so they build up the heat, build up the heat, build up the heat, and time for the comeback, and then you hit the first one to come back and they're dead. And you don't want to just get them up and whoop them up and do something because if they're dead by when you pin them, or be away.
Do you mean they're so blown up they can't get up, or you knock them out?
They're not bumping feeding, they're just there they are.
It's happened.
And then the
It's
crowd's
happened
really
to me.
hot and you're just well, fuck.
It's happened. I've picked them up.
What's
I've
the
picked
way-
them up.
I mean, yeah, but then it's they're on the ground, they're dead by when you pin them,
If the guy, I will tell you a Terry Taylor story. This is a Terry Taylor story. Terry Taylor told me one time Jake Roberts was wrestling him, and Jake was notorious for not going into business for himself, but being difficult to work with. And so, Terry said that he hit him with a move, and he covered him, and Jake kicked out. And he tried to pick Jake up, and Jake wouldn't come. Jake wouldn't come up. And so Jake said, cover me. So Terry went back down, covered him, Jake kicked out. Terry tried to pick him back up, he wouldn't come. And Jake said, cover me. So Terry covered him again, and Jake kicked out. And Terry says, I could hear the people just die. So I said to Jake, I said, if you don't get up, I'm gonna kick you in the fucking face. And Jake got up. I was like, okay. So it has happened before. That's when I say to guys, the most important part is the heel. Is you got to be there for the baby face. And if you're not ready, to go, like if you're in the match and you're blown up, and the next thing that happens is the comeback, and you're not ready, put him in a hole. Get your breath. Get your breath. Get ready. You, as the heel, have to have the gas in the tank to bump and feed for your baby face. Otherwise, you're doing him a disservice. And that's another thing of get in the gym and get in shape. You know, Joe looks out of shape. He can wrestle an hour. He can wrestle an hour. So I'll never call him fat. Or if I do, I'll make sure he's not within arm's reach. But he can work his ass off. He will get up when he needs to get up. If you are out of shape, get in shape. It's a cosmetic business. This is a job. Treat it as such. Yes.
How do you stay in shape on the road so much?
Me personally, there was a period of time where I did P90X. There's a lot of cardio stuff on that particular system. I do a lot of yoga, like shit I can do in hotel rooms. If I go to a place and I don't rent a car, I will do something in my hotel room. A lot of times I'll go to a place, rent a car. Flying from the West Coast, for me personally, it's easy because I'll fly, I'll sleep on the plane, and when I get to the city I'm in, I rent my car, I go to the gym. It's a job, and you know what you have to do for your job. And so if staying in shape is important to me, I make it a priority, I have to get to the gym today. That's it. You know, and if it's important to you, you'll do it. And if it's not important to you, don't be surprised if you are out of shape. You know what I mean? So, but this job is important enough to me where I try to bust my ass and stay in shape and, you know, stay strict to the diet as much as I can, et cetera, et cetera. So, there you go. Yes, sir.
As far as like calling it in the back or calling it in the ring, is there like higher up you go, is it more like just here's a few things I might do, or is it more canning in the back?
That's another case-by-case thing. Like some guys need to talk it all out. Some guys have to write it down. I usually have a very good sense. Like I remember stories how I wanted to be told, and then the moves aren't specifically that important to me, so I don't need to call a lot of stuff. But if the person I'm working needs to call a lot of stuff, I'm not mad. I'm like, okay, well, I understand. That's how you remember your stuff, and that's how you do your stuff. And if a guy comes up to me and goes, call it all in the ring, I'm fine. I can listen. Call your stuff. I'll call my stuff. Let's go out there and have fun and have a good match and be safe.
What would you say are like the main differences between a televised match and a non-televised match as far as like planning it and the execution?
Well, the most important part for television is the time. Time is essential. Like you have to be at a certain time. If you go long, you've screwed somebody else out of time on the television, or you've made it where they have to edit. So time, you have to get a sense of this is too much, or this is not enough, or this amount of work. Non-televised stuff, it really is just a matter of, you know, unless the promoter needs to be out of the building by a certain time, you know, and and be respectful of everybody else. Don't go out there in the opening match and do 30 minutes. You know, and that's another thing too. Wrestling cards, in the same way that wrestling matches, they should build. Opening match shouldn't be WrestleMania. Opening match should be
Something to get
wrestling,
hot.
heat, comeback, finish. No false finishes, no dipsy doodles. That's your opening match. Hey everybody, this is what you're in for tonight. Wrestling. Wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. A little bit of heat, big comeback, finish. Yay. Next match. Be cognizant of your place on the card. Don't be selfish. This is a team effort, not just you and your opponent, but the locker room. You know, if you go out there and you do 1,000 things, what's the guy after you supposed to do? 1,001? So,
For the guys who want to do this for a living full time,
Yes.
how important is it to get to Japan? And as a gaijin, how hard is it to get there?
it's not important. I mean, it's important in the sense that they paid pretty decent. But I mean, I know guys that haven't been to Japan that do it for a living. I will tell you this, just because you've been to Japan doesn't necessarily mean anybody in the States cares. You know, there was a period of time where me going to Japan kept me from getting long-term stuff in the States because I was gone all the time. But I mean, it was a give and take. Like I knew, well, I'm not going to be able to do a program with this person in this company because I'm going to be in Japan for a month and I'm missing a show. But I got paid good in Japan. So I mean, in the end, it's just a matter of, you know, being in Japan just gave me the experience of working that style, and I can bring that style to the States. And you know, if everybody on the card is wrestling a certain style, and I want to wrestle a different style, well, I can wrestle Japanese, or I can do a little lucha libre, or I can do that. And that again goes to, if you don't limit yourself in what you can do, you make yourself more appealing to the promoter. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to hear the Lance story.
Oh, the Lance story. Okay, Lance, everybody, fish out of water is pretty much everybody knows fish out of water. At some point, the term fish out of water has been used to most guys. But Lance also has a spot called Duck, Duck, Goose, which is, I throw something and you duck it, you throw something and I duck it, I throw again and this time I hit it. So I wrestled a match with Lance where literally it was fish out of water, duck, duck, goose, and we called it the wilderness spot because that's the Lance story. You had another question, I know. You have a lot of questions.
Was to ask.
Was it the Lance question? Shut up, really? That was your only question?